Hiya, and welcome back to Password, the game that teaches us that, uh, hmm, that the best method to get the information you want is to inject someone with a saline solution and call it a truth serum. It has been a minute. It's been a minute since we last played it. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Yeah, the yeens. Ah! Yeah, there's going to be a lot of skipping. If Oswin was going to keep to his word, he'd be revealing at some point today. Be revealing himself at some point today. Part of me didn't want to see him again so soon after our last meetup. Bracing myself on the sink, I caught the slight movement just off to the side, shrinking without having realized I had company. Uh-oh. My hands went to my wrist, remembering the last time I spoke to Benson in the kitchen, although he didn't seem to react when I did so. My boy, you're looking worse for wear. Is it that obvious? I'd say you're making no effort to even hide it. He strode closer around me to the coffee machine and started to brew some coffee. Coffee for Oswin? No, my boy, you're in no state to prepare this yourself. Every chance you'd potentially spill it, rather. Take a seat and I'll bring it to you. Shuffling along, I took a seat at one of the stools about the kitchen, resting against the countertop while I watched Benson work. Thank you, Benson. My, this is a departure from the other morning. Sorry. Now, Dave, we all have our moments of weakness. Granted, the apology is appreciated. I don't quite like being accosted within the home in which I reside. So far, no. He carefully placed the cup of coffee in front of me, and I took it graciously. The moment I started to drink, I started to feel a little better. Thank you. Now then, how did last night go? My hand went to my neck, the sting of where I'd been injected lingering, if only in my memory. I got tricked. Tricked, my boy? Yeah. I was talking to his rat before he injected something into my neck. I could see Benson's jaw clench, clearly not happy about what I'd said. My boy, what did he inject you with? Did he ask before he did it? No, he snuck up behind me and jabbed me with saline solution, I think. Benson rubbed his temples, grumbling. I swear, I taught him better than that. Taught him better than what? He shouldn't be injecting anything into anyone without consent, Dave. Let alone treating guests as test subjects for his curiosity. You almost sound like his, father. Well, I suppose I do fill that role. I hate to speak bad of the former master of the house, but he was severely lacking in parental qualifications. Both him and his wife, frankly. Oh, I didn't know. It's an explanation, but it's not an excuse for what he did. I shall be discussing this with him later. I nodded slowly, going back to my coffee. Forgive me for asking, but what did you make of his rat? What did I make of it? The whole thing was kind of odd, but I've never spoken to a rat before. Not one like that, anyway. That's one way to put it. Frankly, I can't say I'm a fan of it, but the rat keeps him happy. How bad could a rat be? He sighed out, shaking his head. In truth, not all that bad, but it's more, I don't like, shall we say, its attitude. His accent is funny, too. Quite. Finishing my coffee, I took the cup over to the sink and started to rinse it off before noticing Benson's eyes trained on me. Oh, should I not be washing my cup? No, that's fine. It's more curiosity. What are you intending to do with your day, all things considered? I don't really know. Then, if I may be so bold, perhaps being cooped up in the house playing to your detriment? Cooped up in the house is playing to your detriment? You mean take a walk? I did that the other day. Well, yes, but all things considering, the mountain air might do you some good. Far away from the things that seem to be troubling you. The vault? Oswin? Those. plus the people in the other room. Friends may they be, but your investment in them is causing you to break. I grumbled, hearing him give the same line as he did last time. I won't break. Good heavens, my boy. Trust that I know it when I see it, but you're being mighty pig-headed. The comment made me do a double take, and he continued as if he hadn't noticed. Let yourself recover. Everyone will be here upon your return, and I can ensure their safety even from Oswin. You're sure? Just let the others know where you're going so they don't worry, and I'll handle the rest. My expression must have hinted that I still wasn't certain. What's the matter? After last night. It's a matter of trust. Right. How do I know that you're not going to do something to my friends while I'm gone? What if I'm not around to save them? Dave, it's this very thinking that's taxing your sanity. Believe me, my boy, while it is a long time since I've had a contract, making people disappear isn't as hard as it seems. I would have done so already if I wanted to. Forgive me, that was perhaps not the most tactful thing to say. It's been a while since I've had to address anyone other than a fairly large child. Shooting him a wry smile, I fidgeted on the spot. It's fine, really. If you are to leave the house, I shall promise to keep them safe in your stead. Even from Oswin? Even from Oswin. Everyone? Yeah. Continuing on, I got back to the manor. As I got closer, I saw Benson standing outside the front door looking out at the grounds. Back from your walk, I see. Did it help? I didn't respond to him right away, looking over my shoulder, scanning the tree line. What's the matter? I think someone was out there with me. That should be impossible. The manor and its grounds are private property, my boy. Yeah, well, I heard something out there. Benson stepped closer, putting a hand on my shoulder before continuing just past me to look at the way I'd came. Come, what did you hear? I was headed back to the manor and twigs snapped. Benson eased off slightly, but he still seemed tense, searching the trees one last time before turning back to me. Well, perhaps it's best if you stay out of the woods for the rest of the day. Just in case. Really? It can't be... The words were only half out of my mouth before I noticed the look he was giving me. The slight quirk in his brow as if questioning how genuine I was being. Okay, fair enough. I went to head inside before he spoke again, making me stop and return his confused look. I hope your yelling helped settle yourself, Dave, though I'd hazard your friends are likely going to ask about that. Where are they? Benson played with his mustache, thinking it over. You had gone on a walk yourself, but so they decided to head out too, granted, as a group. Oh. I forced a smile, although it only emphasized how lonely I felt. Are you concerned for your friends? They should be fine together, but if you wish, I can warn them by heading into the forest myself. No, it's alright. They deserve to have some fun together. Turning away from Benson, I headed inside. When I got to my room, I stripped down and got under the covers, willing myself to sleep. Seeing it was time for dinner, I left my room, and the moment I got down the stairs, I could hear the others in the dining room. They sounded happy, which was good, enough for me to want to gravitate towards the dining room for a peek. A lot of them were laughing and grinning at Orlando, who seemed flustered about something, his mane a mess. Hey guys. Oh, hello, Dave. How'd your day turn out? It went okay. I grimaced and he nodded slowly, looking about to the others. Benson told me you all went out. Into the woods, maybe?
Yeah, we figured that if you went out on a walk, then we should go on one too.
Not to abandon you, but you were gone long before we decided to go out too. Otherwise, I guess we would have all gone together. Yeah, okay. My voice sounded hollow and I held my mouth slightly open in a dazed smile, turning to Roswell, who'd been standing by Orlando quietly.
What's wrong, Dave?
Nothing, I'm just tired.
Oh, alright. Well, hopefully you sleep well tonight?
I gave a half-hearted chuckle in reply, nodding. Hopefully. Certain I was going to be pulled up on it, I closed my eyes and sighed out, straightening my back, but it never happened, likely because of the familiar distinct clacking of shoes on tile that echoed in from the foyer. Good evening, everyone. Roswell seemed to be eyeing Benson suspiciously, sneaking a glance at each of us before turning his attention back on the otter. Perhaps it was how Benson was standing by the door that clued me in as to what was about to happen. That, or the heavy footfalls in the foyer getting louder as they approached. Each of my friends looked to one another confused. They could hear it too, but everyone should have been... but everyone that should have been in the house was present in the room. Sure enough, the time had come. Oswin stood in the doorway of the dining room, looking to each of us in turn. May I introduce you to the master of the house? It's unneeded, but thank you, Benson. My name is Oswin Hammond. Haas was the first one to move, pointing at Oswin briefly. Roswell, your dad is here! Oswin shook his head, eyeing Haas carefully. No, boy. Okay, well, better question. Why are you here? It's my house, so naturally I'd be here. No? Roswell's jaw was clenched, seemingly none too happy about Oswin showing up.
I knew something was up. Something wasn't making much sense unless there was someone else here, but still.
If you're going to say something, Roswell, say it.
Why are you here if we're staying here for the month? I thought we had it to ourselves.
Well, sorry to disappoint your expectation that I'd be willing to let 6 relative strangers stay in my house without me being around. Oswald's attention turned to me, sizing me up, but his attention was taken again by Roswell speaking up again.
Then if you've been around this whole time, Benson knew, and when we were all looking for the gun, you didn't say anything?
Of course not. But why? Once more, Oswald looked at me, maybe trying to figure out how much I'd told my friends. Put simply, I'm a private man. You don't live on a somewhat private mountain in a mansion where parts of it are hidden behind secret doors if you typically enjoy company. Wait, hidden rooms? They exist? Orlando trembled at the idea, eyes darting between Roswell and Oswin. Mr. Noble, you know full well why those things exist. I'd have thought you'd have learned that firsthand from your father by now. Maybe Orlando was just pretending, not that I knew what his family was actually doing, and what life was ahead of him. He'd have to know. You know my dad? Among many things. If you were to stay here, why wouldn't I want to know about those to be under my roof? It's not hard to get background checks on people if you know who to ask or where to ask. Remember, 4 of you just finished school, so public records are fairly easy to come across. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've come to make myself something to drink and I'll let you go about your business. Oswin wandered past me, patting me on the shoulder as he made his way into the kitchen with Benson on his heels. Damn, well that's something. Huh? If it's his house, I guess him being here makes sense. I know I'd feel more comfortable with strangers being in my house if I was around. They're guests, Dean, not strangers. More importantly, we're guests, assuming Roswell got permission. Oh, he did. I turned to Roswell to check, but noticed him stomping off towards the kitchen. He looked annoyed and focused, ignoring the conversation going on. Oswin is... I'm just looking at this, trying to figure out what's going on. Hang on, bye, Eanes squad. Say bye-bye to the Eanes. Okay. I'm just looking at this, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I want to figure out what's going on before I actually read through this. Oswin is happy. Roswell is confused, and Benson looks pissed. Cereal? Fucking Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops. I'd followed behind him while the others discussed the morality of secretly sharing your house with guests without telling them you're still there.
Why are you still here?
Oswin had a mug while Benson stood stiff next to the coffee machine. Roswell, meanwhile, was aggressively poking the older boar in the stomach. You mean my house? Benson cleared his throat, and I figured it was to alert the other two that I was in the kitchen, not that they seemed to pay him any mind.
Mom and Dad said that you'd be off doing something else so we wouldn't have parental supervision.
But he's not your dad, right?
Dave, what are you...
He's been here for a few moments, Master Roswell. Despite my efforts to try and clue you both into that subtly. I don't mind if Dave is here. After all, he handed his mug over to Benson while he spoke, looking me over before turning back to the butler. He's a guest. Oh, and make that 3 sugars, Benson.
Okay, fine, Dave is here, but answer my question!
While Benson is good at keeping things in order behind the scenes, the manor is big enough for everyone to share with no problem. After all, you didn't know I was here until I revealed myself.
You're still not answering the question.
Maybe he just doesn't want us to set the house on fire while he's gone? or even while I'm in it, in all honesty, because I'm here because I want to be, and as is my right to be. I trust you have no issues with this, Roswell huffed, folding his arms briefly in defiance before going to retrieve a mug himself. Yin is welcome everywhere. And you're sure you're not related? Oswald looked to me carefully before looking to Roswell, who was heaping sugar into his mug. I'm sure.
Come on, Dave. I know my own parents, and besides, we live next to each other. Do you think I'd suddenly be living in a mansion otherwise?
Not an uncle or anything? Dave, you know why. That's... He stopped mid-sentence with Roswell turning suddenly from dumping sugar into his mug.
And why would Dave know that?
Well... I suppose the cat is out of the bag now.
What is with this habit of not answering my questions?
Perhaps if you had some modicum of decorum, I'd be willing to entertain them. But I feel an inquisitive mind such as yours warrants something beyond a simple explanation. Finish making your coffee, and we'll round everyone up, as I'm not explaining this more than once. He's so sassy. Oswald is so sassy. Retrieving his coffee from Benson, Oswald walked back into the dining room, leaving us behind. Did you wish for a cup as well, Master Dave? Sure? After serving Roswell his cup, although with a raised eyebrow from how much of said mug had sugar in it, he made one for me and all of us followed in Oswald's wake. All of them are sassy. Why did we go anywhere? He'd been in the dining room for a few moments, and already it seemed as though the mood was tense. Upon spotting the rest of us, he nodded and gestured for everyone to follow. Alright, everyone's here, so let's get going. But you haven't explained why we should be going anywhere! Then don't come. I'm sure Haas can show you the library in his own time. Wait, what? But Oswald turned away from them, walking out of the dining room, expecting us to follow. Haas followed soon after, leaving Orlando looking about the room, confused as on if he should follow as well. Dean and Sal trudged along next, with Tyson close behind, looking wary.
Is it... What's going on?
I guess he'll explain to us when we get there? Orlando nodded gently to himself, and we followed behind the rest of the group, up the stairs towards the conservatory. He'd mentioned the library, and without even thinking, I didn't even stop to question where we were going. Sal noticed, having turned to head off to the museum instead, but doubled back to catch up to Dean upon realizing that's not where they were headed. Here we are. Everyone here? Good. I'm not going to show you this more than once, so pay attention. Without thinking about it, he pulled the 2 books needed to open the passage that led to the library. With a gentle push, the bookcase slid aside, revealing the dark corridor behind it. Now, some of you are already familiar with this corridor, no? I looked to Haas, who seemed to be focusing intently on the corridor rather than checking to see if anyone was looking at him. That doesn't matter. The observant of you may have noticed that there was something off about the layout of the house, given where you could and could not get to just from looking on the outside. Is it really that noticeable? Oswald just grunted, looking me over. Felt different talking to him like this out in the open somehow. I just couldn't place it. I have a question. Yes, what is it? You mentioned a library, but isn't it back there? I understand how you came to that conclusion, but I assure you, compared to the room beyond this passage, the museum pales in comparison. Without waiting a moment longer, he wandered into the corridor, leaving us behind. Benson followed quietly behind him, eyes forward as if the rest of us weren't there. Roswell stepped forward quickly in Oswald's wake, looking down the corridor. What's wrong, Roswell?
It's not just me, right? There's something odd going on.
How he appeared out of nowhere? In a daze, Haas continued down the corridor after Oswald, running his hand along the wall to guide him forward. Well, he does live here, right?
Yes, but there's how he appeared. Why now? Why is Haas freaking out? It's not adding up.
I noticed Tyson stepping forward, looking down into the darkness after Haas. Well, I don't trust him. Fuck letting Tomcat getting in trouble going alone. Topcat? You mean Haas? Ty grunted, shooting me a quick look before going on ahead. Haas and Tyson have been getting closer. Slowly. I don't know when the nickname started, but it's something.
I'm just glad I didn't get lumped with... Dean, where are you going?
I was going to follow the others. What do you make of this, Dean? Oh, he hasn't done anything wrong, so I'm not going to judge. Sal and Roswell exchanged a look before turning back to Dean. What? Nothing. Come on, Dean. Patting Dean on the back, Sal led Dean into the darkness, leaving just Roswell, Orlando, and me behind. Though... He was fidgeting with his hands, looking between us at the corridor where everyone else had gone down. Are we going to follow as well?
Probably. We don't have a choice, do we? Everyone else has already gone on ahead.
Roswell took Orlando by the hand and dragged him into the dark. As their footsteps faded into silence, I was left alone in the conservatory. Taking one last look around, I followed behind them. Carefully, I walked the path to the library, wondering how this was going to go. What would the others think about the library and how it had been hidden this whole time? When I got there, I looked down to the lower floor and saw everyone gathered around the desk sitting in the middle of the room. All except Roswell, who had wandered off to the side with his eyes set on what I'd assumed to be the door leading to the lab. Why am I out of breath? I made my way down to the others, grabbing Oswald's attention. Ah, good. Everyone's here. What the fuck? Why didn't we know about this room? I'd be asking that lion friend of yours, no. What? Once upon a time, Mr. Warner here came to the house and discovered this room when he was preparing for something I don't really care about. When he arrived, he alone knew of its existence. Hey, that's not fair. Am I lying? Well, no, but... He sighed out, rubbing his head. Okay, fine. Yeah, I've been to this house before, knew about the library, but didn't mean to really hide it from anyone. Why'd you come here anyway? An old acting gig that didn't pan out. Doesn't matter. Agreed. It doesn't matter, but some days ago, Haas brought Dave here. That's how your hyena friend and I spoke, at least. Wait, Dave? You've spoken to this guy before? At least to know why you wanted to know about the library now. Then came the nervous chuckle as I backed up a little bit. No, wait. Why were you talking to him, Dave? Before I could answer, Oswald cut in, clearing his throat. His interaction with the vault piqued my interest, not to mention his desperation to keep everyone alive, including Benson. So I invited him here for us to have a more private chat about things. You couldn't talk to us more about it, Dave? Orlando put his hand on Haas's shoulder, shaking his head briefly at him before turning to look at Roswell messing with the door off to the side. That door over there, though. What about it? Looks like the door in the basement. Ah, right. Well, I can assure you that this is just a fairly sturdy door blocking off what I see as my personal part of the house from the rest. As if a hidden passageway from the conservatory isn't enough. Forgive me for assuming you'd understand what it's like having a flair for the dramatic. I've never had an Uber before. I've never rode in an Uber. I did do DoorDash, though. My last DoorDash order, the lady was so nice. I wandered away from them over to the door where it seemed as though Tyson and Roswell were checking out the door with scrutiny. Benson lingering nearby to keep things in order. What exactly are you guys doing? Trying to get this stupid door open.
Well, I've been running through a list of things in my head to see if anything works on this keypad. You know, like the one downstairs.
But no luck? Well, Master Gray did try kicking the door down in hopes it'd budge. It was worth trying!
Sure, but maybe next time wait until we've tried something a little more intelligent. Rather than assuming kicking down a reinforced door would work over, you know.
He gestured at the keypad that seemed to be wired into the door, causing Tyson to huff. Yeah, well, whatever. What's the password to the door, Benson? Roswell and Tyson shot a glance at one another before looking at me, stunned. What?
That would have been a good thing to start asking.
I felt better kicking the door. Unfortunately, while I know how to open this particular door, I have not been given permission to leisurely hand over the key to it. Oi! What's behind it anyway?
Something secret, that's for sure. Maybe his bedroom or something else like that.
You're on the right track. It's merely what Master Oswin regards as his part of the house, while the rest he allows me to have free reign over. And he just locks behind a door like this? What about when he gets hungry? The advantages of having a butler, Master Gray. I have a question. I did a double take as Sal wandered up to the door, gently knocking on it while Roswell went to trying to open it with more guesses on the keypad. By all means. What is it, Master Warden? Is Mr. Hammond a doctor? Probably. That or some other kind of science nerd.
Hey, nothing wrong with being a nerd.
Roswell called out without even looking up from the keypad, drawing my attention for all of a second. The technically correct answer to your question is a no, Master Warden. However, as it come up eventually, he did at one point hold a medical doctorate and license to practice medicine, yes. What happened? Fuck up someone's medication or something? Before Benson could reply, Oswin was on his way over with the rest of the group in tow. As a matter of fact, yes. Enough that it warranted that I no longer work in a hospital or officially in the field anymore. Well, shit, alright. So you're a doctor. Okay. Why? It's nothing. At least not something I want to openly discuss right now. In that case, find me sometime later and you can ask me at your leisure, Mr. Warden. So, you've been here since we arrived? Know a whole bunch of things about all of us, and have been helping Dave feel better about everything going on with the vault? Orlando's eyes were looking around the room, mainly focusing on the ceiling high above as if searching for something. That's right. And the only reason your Benson didn't tell us was because it was meant to be a secret? Correct. Which is why when Roswell asked Benson about who was in the house, Dave, you knew back then, right? Huh? What makes you say that? To be honest, your reaction was a little odd, but I didn't think anything of it. Just one of those things you came out with because stuff was on your mind. Oh, well, my fault. After our little chat, I asked him to keep mention of me to a minimum. At the time, I did not realize that his nerves were as bad as they are, but he did a good job. I smiled a little, appreciating the praise. For the briefest of moments, I was thankful that I hadn't given him up when Roswell had asked. A part of me wondered what would have happened if I did. Well, what's the plan now? As far as what exactly? We've been here almost 2 weeks, but you're here, so... Does that bother you? You're welcome to stay for the whole month as originally planned, or at least I see no reason why that would change now. I have no intention on leaving either. Well, Thor, but I meant, like, does this mean you'll be around more, or... Oswin's eyes focused on me, looking me over, his brow furrowed briefly before turning back to Oswin. Perhaps. I'm still deciding giving interacting with this many people at once is something I haven't done a long time. Are we that bad? I wouldn't say that. Exhausting is more accurate. The nature of an introvert. Although I would say that interacting more would be beneficial, sir. Yay! Hiya! Hello! Ah! He just sighed, shrugging and shaking his head. I'm not about to say he can't join us for dinner, but, like, we know next to nothing about him, which, given he knows about us, feels a little... unfair. Would it be comforting if I were to give you my life story over dinner, then? There isn't a whole lot to tell. Well, something is better than nothing. I felt a hand on my shoulder, easing me away from the group and off to the side. Oh, I looked between the two of them, each of them looking like they were waiting for the other one to start. What's wrong? You see, earlier today... The fuck was the yelling about? I blinked, frowning. What do you mean? So, we were all by the river before and could hear you yelling. You caught us off guard for a moment before I had to tell them it was just you. What do you mean, just me? Look, I'm not a stranger to the whole making sounds when you're upset thing. I howl. I get it. You howl? When? Why? Dean? Fuck off. We're not having that talk now. Right. Sorry. But he's right, Dave. Some of us wanted to go make sure you were okay, but we didn't really know what was going on. I've heard you wail before. You weren't in danger, just upset. So don't go asking that, what if I was killed? Crap again. My mouth was open and ready to deliver that very line, but I eased back, embarrassed. Do you feel better at least? No. Well, you'll get there. Dean, help him out. He stepped forward, wrapping his arms carefully around me in an awkward hug. His heart wasn't in it, and after patting me gently on the back, he stepped back despite me left wanting more. So, you've been keeping this a secret for a few days, huh? Keep what a secret, Oswin? Yeah. Any reason beyond him asking? Not really. When Roswell asked, I thought about telling everyone, but I don't know. Well, I don't know how many times I can say it, but if you need to talk to someone, I can make myself available. Thanks, I guess. Ty sighed, shaking his head. Can we go eat now? Books suck. I guess so. What are you guys doing over here? Wanting to fucking leave. Is Mr. Oswin joining us for dinner? I think so. Benson was talking about doing dinner tonight as a means of apologizing for keeping us in the dark. Well, alright. I'm fine with that, I think. Like you have a choice. Hey, he could be a good guy. I'm willing to give him a chance. So long as nothing bad happens, I think I'm willing to give him a thought. He let us stay here after all. Already I found the conversation moving away from me, and I was torn between feeling glad and just sad that I wasn't the center of attention anymore. Toxic. It has been a while since that redeem came up. We all filed out of the library the way we came to head to dinner. I lingered at the back of the group, hands in the pouch of my hoodie and letting my feet drag. Sal was acting as a barrier between Roswell and Oswin while the younger of the two tried to bombard him with questions about the house.
Yeah.
Other secret passages and stuff. Haas and Tyson were talking anime, I think. They were both eager to be doing something after dinner. Dean was talking to Orlando about something in hushed voices near the front of the train where Benson was occasionally adding his thoughts on the matter. Once again I found myself outside, not hungry and just wanting to be asleep again. I was so lost in my own head that I didn't hear the back door open. Or the footsteps approaching as they came to stand beside me. Hiya. It's a nice night, isn't it? I grunted as he came to stand next to me, looking out at the surrounding forest. I hear you've been out here moping a fair bit recently. Being inside makes me feel trapped, I guess. It's just nice out here. I think I can understand that. I used to stand right where you're standing when I was younger. Either to take a break from my siblings, or even Benson, my father, mother. Yeah, well, cool, I guess. Oh, come now, Dave. It's not all doom and gloom, is it? You have 10.5 points and you don't know what to... 10.5k points? Damn. It's not all doom and gloom, is it? Rich coming from you. First you told me one of my friends is going to die from a hidden microphone in my room, then you inject something into me. What isn't there to be upset about? Oswin nodded his head briefly before shooting me a curious look. Oh. Yeah, you kinda missed a lot. Oswin nodded his head briefly before shooting me a curious look. Do you regret it? Regret what? Caring about your friends so much. Personally, I'm a little envious. I would assume this is what it'd be like to have a child of my own. Of course I care about my friends. Any normal person would, right? Would they? The reply came so quick that I wasn't sure how to react. You care for your friends, but you're so... let's go with the word selfless, that it's quite fascinating. What you present is far more than just a form of solidarity between friends, Dave. Okay. I wasn't convinced, sighing out and keeping my gaze fixed on a spot between the trees. We have not played Killigan's Treasure. My point is, you're fighting the good fight, although I admit I'm fairly biased towards that. What is your stake in this? Why do you care about me doing my best to save who's marked for death? A simple enough question, I suppose. There were a few moments of silence where I had assumed that he wasn't going to answer. Instead, it just seemed he was thinking over his answer. As a doctor, you make an oath to do your best to keep people healthy and alive. As a parent, I imagine it's much the same, but for your children. Understandably, I'm neither of these things, although I would love to be. Perhaps I'm just living vicariously through you. Perhaps I'm desperate to ensure someone else doesn't live to make the same mistake I did. Getting someone killed? I didn't expect him to chuckle, but he shook his head. Not quite. Wasting one's life away wondering what if, or lamenting on opportunities long gone. I entered and finished university early, spent many years in my field before, well, you know. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. How long have you been here by yourself? Long enough to forget what it's like to be around people as a whole. Months, years, almost decades. Granted, I've not been myself. Benson's been around, plus the occasional visit. I've not been by myself. Benson's been around, plus the occasional visitor. It's just a very large house for 2 or even 3 people. Rarely there's been double that. Ah! He placed a hand carefully on my shoulder. Although the weight of it felt heavy, if it was meant to be reassuring, it felt more clinical, or the way a teacher would touch your shoulder in that strange mix of encouraging but distant. Benson's likely going to be finished preparing dinner soon, so I'll be heading back inside. Alright, well, have a fun dinner, I suppose. Not hungry? I felt my stomach gurgle, not hungry, but a vague queasiness that killed my appetite. My silence must have been enough of an answer. In that case, I wish you good evening, Dave. I'll be up for a while, yet likely answering what questions Roswell has for me, or perhaps Mr. Warner. You're welcome to join us at any time. Are you going to tell them about the marked thing? Should I? No. Probably not. Then, when you feel it's time, I'll let you be the one to divulge that information. Until then. Oswin turned around and went inside, closing the door gently behind him. I sighed, slumping against the railing and taking one last look around before heading inside myself. Rather than heading down with all the others, I headed back to my room. Unlike the night before, no one came to check in on me. I spent the evening laying on my bed, writhing due to the feeling just under my fur. A level of uncomfortable that I couldn't quite place the source of. Eventually, I had a shower to freshen up, only to continue laying on my bed. No one had checked up on me like the night before, so maybe Oswin had said something. Night settled in, and the house was still. For a brief moment, I heard movement outside my door before it moved on. Possibly someone heading off to bed themselves. Another hour later, I could hear Roswell talking with Haas nearby. Not enough to make out what they were saying, but they were going back and forth about something. Apparently, Roswell filling him in on something. But that too felt quiet, and I rolled over in my bed to get under the covers. I cuddled down as best as I could, wishing for someone to come save me from myself, wishing that something would just magically make everything better. Let whatever happens happen. Just give up, Dave. I found myself mouthing the words now, just shy of saying them myself. My head hurt. My heart ached. But despite it all, I was able to get to sleep. Day 13. Would have thought that Oswin being out in the open would have made me feel better. One less secret weighing me down that should have been helping. If anything, I felt worse. There were so many questions, but not enough answers. Oswin was around, so maybe the focus could be on him instead of me. It'd give me some freedom to think, for people to leave me alone. Was that what I really wanted? Maybe I wanted someone to give me attention, to notice me, to save me. Sal slipped quietly into my room and closed the door behind him, keeping his gaze elsewhere. Hey, Sal. Yes, hello. He seemed to go to speak a few times, thinking over his words before settling on what he wanted to say. I wanted to see if you were awake. Thought you might be. Shuffling closer, he stopped halfway between the door and my bed, quickly looking me over. You know I am. Normally up, I mean. What's wrong, Sal? Me? Oh, right. I just wanted to check in on how you were doing. You aren't at dinner, you're likely hungry, and then there's that other boar. Oswin? Right. He trailed off there, looking uncertain. There's so many things Inching closer, he stopped just shy of the bed. Flat fuck Friday, Sal. Orlando came to me last night. For all the panic that was going on, he came to me in tears. The idea made me sit up, frowning. Sal sat down carefully on the bed, rubbing his arms. He's terrified, but he knows when to seek help. He wanted grounding and reassurance things were going to be okay. Okay. Sal sighed, shaking his head. Why haven't you done that? If not me, then Tyson, Orlando, Haas, or Roswell, anyone? I didn't have an answer, instead just sitting there with my mouth parted, ready to defend myself, but no words came. My concern is that if I don't press you or to talk about it, you never will. But what if I don't want to talk about it? Flashing him a wry smile, he stared at me, expressionless for a few moments before standing again. Fair enough. Sorry to have bothered you, Dave. He walked towards the door and quickly left before I had much time to really process what he was doing. What do you think you're doing? Rubbing my eyes as I took stock of what was happening, I saw Oswin sitting at the table across from Roswell, clutching his coffee much in the same way I would.
Nothing.
The smug dork. Oh no. Is Roswell stealing Oswin's Fruit Loops? He's such a smug asshole. Roswell was helping himself to some cereal, eyes focused on the older boar opposite him.
Just eating breakfast.
Oswin's eyes bulge as the last few crumbs of cereal fell out of the box, signaling that there was nothing left. Good morning. My greeting went ignored as Oswin's jaw clenched and he continued staring at Roswell. Fuck. The others seemed to pay them. No mind. Some taking a seat at the table while a couple others went into the kitchen. That better not have been the last box, Roswell. That better not have been the last box, Roswell.
I would have thought the cereal was for kids based on the slogan on the box. Don't know why you're kicking up such a fuss over it, Mr. Hammond.
Thank you for handling Amethyst. Thank you for
Mr. Hammond.
Why, you little... Benson! Fuck! He's so mad! Oswin hollered, looking around quickly for the butler. A few of us flinched but went back to groggily sitting at the table. Sure enough, Benson emerged with the rest of those missing at the table and food was brought along with them. Yes, Master Oswin. Did you give Roswell that cereal box? I did not, Master Oswin. Is there a problem? A problem? There won't be so long as there's another box remaining. Then by all means, you're welcome to check while I attend to our guests. You're the butler. You check. But what host would I be if neglecting the needs of our guests? No reply came from Oswin, instead just looking between his butler and Roswell with a scowl. Bitch really about to commit a felony over cereal. Bitch really about to commit murder over Fruit Loops. Now, if you are that bothered by the lack of your preferred breakfast, you have 2 legs of your own, sir. You are welcome to check the pantry. A few moments later, and he stood suddenly, grunting once before stomping over to the kitchen and throwing the door open to disappear into the adjoining room. Now then, Master Roswell, did you really need to provoke Master Oswin like that?
Not really.
Good morning, Master Dave. Did you require coffee? Is Oswin going to be alright? That is something I wouldn't worry yourself over.
Yeah.
Orlando piped up from nearby, keeping his eyes on the food he'd brought out. I gave him the wrong voice. Yeah. It was like this at dinner, too. Roswell asked him a bunch of questions and figured out what buttons to press really quickly.
Hey, after last night, I just had a lot of pent-up curiosity that I figure he'd make for a good person to vent to.
by asking him questions non-stop. He looked ready to throttle you. Had Master Oswald not been as as slippery as he proved, he might have. You really wouldn't really let that happen, would you? Of course not, Master Dave. This entire situation is beautiful. I may serve Master Oswin as his butler, but I'm not about to let him bring harm to our guests. Or act as a child. Benson continued on, and Roswell started eating his cereal while I grabbed a piece of toast. Go without coffee today? That's unlike you. Just get Oswin more cereal, give him Cookie Crisp, it'll cheer him up. Nah, Fruit Loops. Wait, does he like Fruit Loops? What cereal does he prefer? That's unlike you. Huh? Oh, right. Pouring myself a mug from the pot on the table, I had the sugar and milk passed to me carefully by Orlando. Thanks.
Thor, no problem.
Yeah, okay. I caught Sal nudging Dean, who seemed to pick up that he was meant to do something. Oh, rat. Orlando, how are you holding up?
Good.
He knows, Orlando.
Oh, then, could be better. I'll be fine, I think.
You sure? Don't need, I don't know, something to help things along? A talk? A distraction? I sank in my chair. Part of me felt this was just for show, or to highlight where I was failing.
Well, I talked to Thal about stuff last night, but if we've got a plan for something to do later, I'm interested in keeping my mind busy.
Well, good. How about we round up people and just, I don't know, maybe we can bust out a big game that we can all play.
Yeah, I think I'd like that.
They continued talking, and Orlando's spirits seemed to pick up. Turning my attention to Haas and Tyson, they seemed to already be talking about something. I'm telling you, you're picking one today. If you're lucky. What are you two talking about? Nothing important. Nothing important? Jeez, you have a long way to go. It's just whatever it is you call it. I don't even have a favorite show yet, and you're asking me to pick a favorite character from everything you've watched? Which is a very important step in the process, big dog. I don't think you should call him that, Haas. Why not? Tyson looked at me funny, somewhat confused. What? I thought, and with the dog thing, Ty grumbled, rubbing his head. He's your friend. You should know what he's like. I forced it on him and made him accept it. But how? That's a secret. He was an annoying asshole mostly, but it's fine. I can take it like a man. I have good enough incentive too anyway. Oh. He gave me a hard stare before nodding, looking back to Haas. Anyway, I'm not picking one. Come on, it's not that hard. Even Dave has one. Even if his taste is to be refined. Refined? You saying you have shit taste, pup? I don't. You do, but that's alright. Different strokes and all that. There was something else weighing me down now. The judgment of what I find appealing. And what I like. Normally we go back and forth, not just Haas and I, but Roswell and Orlando too. But now with everything else, it was just wearing me down. Oh, right. Of course. I chuckled, focusing just on my coffee instead. Dave, listen, you want to watch anime with us later? Oh, already taking the initiative. Gonna show him your favorites. Dude, what the hell? I'm allowed to invite who I want. Thanks, but no thanks. I flashed him a weak smile as I stood. You got plans already? Something like that, but maybe I can join you guys later. Ty sighed and leaned back in his chair, rolling his shoulders. Sure, pup, sure. Nodding to him, I stood up from the table and wandered down to the kitchen with my mug in hand. Even having missed dinner, I wasn't all that hungry, but I just wanted the excuse to get away from the table. Where is the blasted... There's no more cereal! There's no more cereal! There's no more cereal! There's no more cereal! As I entered, I looked to Benson, who was off to the side, watching as Oswin dug around in the pantry. Pay him no mind, Master Dave. This is just Master Oswin sourcing his own breakfast. He straightened, setting a colorful box on the counter and sighing out. That boy is lucky there was another box. Perhaps this is a sign that you should leave the children's cereal for the children, sir. Gotta do a whole thing. I'm a grown man. And if I want sugar cereal for breakfast, then I'll be damned if I can't make that decision freely. What about your teeth or eggs? Eggs? And oh, he does have a point, sir. Scrambled eggs is something manageable. Chocolate cake. Chocolate cake? You're not having chocolate cake for breakfast. Why not? Do you really think that's an appropriate... Do you... Fuck! Do you really think that's an appropriate meal choice for the first thing in the morning? Why, glad you asked, Benson. I do. Really? Why? I thought cake was for dessert or whatever. Be that as it may, sir. I'm not making you chocolate cake for breakfast. Then, sugar cereal. But, now we're back to scrambled eggs, right? Did you want eggs, Master Dave? I quickly shook my head, heading over to the coffee machine instead to contemplate if I needed another cup or if I should go without. Dave, how are you feeling? Fine. You don't sound fine, my boy. I'm fine, really. How did last night go? Fine. I shot him a look and he gave me one back, accompanied with a raised brow. Should it not have been? No, I guess going fine is a good thing. Master Roswell entertained Master... Roswell being a little shit is amazing. Master Roswell entertained Master Oswin with enough questions to keep most of your friends satisfied with his presence here. I turned to Oswin for clarification and he nodded. Quite a mind that head of his. His aptitude for being able to find what makes people tick is truly worrying, however. I dare say you missed a show, Master Dave. With a grunt, Oswin started pouring himself some cereal, earning himself an annoyed if fleeting look from Benson. Oh, yeah, you said that Roswell was being slippery and Oswin would have throttled him if you'd caught him, right? He moves faster than I gave him credit for. Fuck! Okay. Okay. Let me explain why I'm dying over here. Let me explain why I'm dying. Okay, so I pictured Oswin chasing Roswell, and what came to mind was, you know that scene from South Park where Cartman has to get a vaccination and he's running around squealing like a pig? I imagined Roswell squealing while Oswin was chasing him. Hang on, I'm putting that clip in the Discord server. I'm putting that clip in the server real quick, so that way y'all can get an idea of why I'm laughing as hard as I am. Fuck. Family kills their own family members. You guess it's a hereditary or bloodline thing. I don't know. No, not that. Fuck. I need to get used to the new YouTube app layout. South Park, Cartman, chased, vaccine. Oh, found it. Alright. Copy link. Discord server. I'm putting it in general. putting the shit in general. Alright. I put it in general. Just watch that, but replace all the people chasing Cartman with Oswin, and replace Cartman with Roswell. And you will get why I'm laughing my ass off. He moves faster than I gave him credit for. It's a wonder that bastard child is as fast he is given how pudgy he is in the middle. Fuck! God damn! That's not very nice. Just stating fact. If it makes you feel better, consider my jealousy showing in that I wish I had less weight to slow me down. And I see you're going to great lengths to remedy that fact by eating your second bowl of cereal. Grumbling, Oswin crunched what mouthful he had before defiantly shoveling another spoonful of cereal into his mouth. Now, my boy, are you sure you didn't want anything for breakfast? Another cup of coffee, perhaps? Still standing by that coffee machine, I gave it a once-over before shaking my head again. No, thanks. I'll be alright. That was too beautiful. Fucker just wants to pick up Roswell. This game is going to kill me. I wandered out from the kitchen into the hall leading to the foyer. My friends were on the other side of the wall, conversing among themselves, and while I couldn't hear specifics, I could make out they seemed happy enough. So why wasn't I happy? So I picked both up and put them in my pocket carefully. Oswin said things had gone missing from his lap, so maybe this was some of it. Either way, he'd known better. He'd know better. Ah. You know, the whole Jack thing. There was something about how he said that, something that made me feel uneasy. I knew Oswin didn't like rabbits, so maybe that was what was coloring my opinions of this guy. The entire Jack scene. But then I thought about what Oswin thought about rabbits. Maybe he was right that rabbits couldn't be trusted. Was he lying? Dialogue go skedaddle. Ah! Kick the baby! Either you all or this game is going to murder me. It's going to kill me. This game is going to kill me. If I follow the direction he pointed, would I even make it back to the mansion? What if it just led further away? I had a choice to make. Trust Jack or doubt Jack? Oh, shit. Actually, right now, we're going to do neither, because we're going to leave off here tonight. This fucking game. Hey, yo. I'll have to check that out. But anyways, it feels good to be back at Password. And stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.